All right, welcome back. Welcome back. So it ain't been too long, but Ryan Garcia is back talking. And this time he's got something to say about Vasily Lomachenko, the WBA and the WBA and WBO lightweight champion. Basically say that he's been, this is me paraphrasing, ducking the Mexican style since he got his behind whooped by Orlando Salido, but he does not believe that Teofimo Lopez has the ability to replicate that blueprint on Vasily Lomachenko. So let's talk about that, but I also watch the video to the end because at the end, I want to talk about a double standard as it relates to Vasily Lomachenko and Deontay, the Bronze Bomb Squad, Bronze Bomber Wilder. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back. Vasily Lomachenko, Teofimo Lopez, Ryan Garcia are all three lightweights. Teofimo Lopez is the IBF 135-pound champion, and he is supposed to be having a unification fight with Vasily Lomachenko, the WBA and the WBO 135-pound champion, former WBO 126 and 130-pound champion, most likely future Hall of Famer, and one of the more hyped up fighters that we have seen this century. Not completely undeservedly, because the dude can fight. However, he is getting a little bit long in the tooth, and he is about to step up and fight what I do believe is a young killer and Teofimo Lopez, provided that Teofimo Lopez does not eat his way out of the weight division too quickly. I would assume that this kid could really be the best lightweight in that division, the best guy in that division. He might be the best now if he's able to beat Vasily Lomachenko, but Ryan Garcia, who is a prospect, right, represented by Golden Boy Promotions, just recently had back-to-back first-round knockouts. Since he had back-to-back first-round knockouts, you know, he's feeling like his stock is soaring, rightfully so, and there's a lot of excitement about him in certain sectors of the boxing community. Not myself personally. However, I will say that Ryan Garcia looks significantly better than I thought he did, you know, in maybe 3, 4, 5 fights backwards. ago, where I wasn't that impressed, but he looked very solid in his last couple fights. And he thinks, you know, that's how you get when you're whooping people. You think you can whoop everybody. Says that he thinks that he's the guy that can beat Vasily Lomachenko because the book is out on Vasily Lomachenko and how you go about beating him. Now, as amazing as this might sound to certain people, that's the truth. When you talk about Vasily Lomachenko, it's almost if, or you listen to mainstream media talk about Vasily Lomachenko, it's almost as if he's undefeated. They say he's better than a young, you know, he's as good as the best fighter, this is Bob Aaron, the best fighter since a young Muhammad Ali at 12-1, who lost to Orlando Salido. Now in boxing, you do, this is what my understanding is, and I've seen it play out in the ring, that styles make fights. That there are certain styles that are difficult, more difficult for certain fighters to beat, that if you fight a guy in a certain way that really does, you know, focuses on his weaknesses and takes him and makes it more difficult for him to, you know, to utilize his strengths, then you have a chance to beat him, right? It's a game plan for a particular guy. So when Orlando Salido beat Vasily Lomachenko and people act like he didn't, there you go, there's the book. Vasily Lomachenko is not much of a different fighter than he was when he came in than he is now. There's a lot of people that say, well, you know, Vasily Lomachenko was, you know, Orlando Salido cheated. Did you see all the low blows? Did you see all the roughing up? You know, he didn't really go hard in the first several rounds because he was getting used to going 12 rounds and all of that stuff, right? All that stuff is fair. All that stuff is fine and well. However, but what Ryan Garcia is saying is that if that's the case, why haven't you seen Vasily Lomachenko in the ring with anybody that fought like Orlando Salido since then. I mean, you can walk back through his last several fights. Nobody fits that style. Luke Campbell is not a pressure. He's not a pressure fighter who is going to try to offset your who's trying to break you down through massive amounts of activity, keeping the pressure on you, making you fight every second of the round, and therefore putting you in a situation where you're going to make a mistake here, make a mistake there, basically because there's so much pressure being put on you. Now, Orlando Salido has lost to some guys and had lost 11 fights before, or maybe he had lost 10 fights before he fought Vasily Lomachenko, but he's not the type of dude that is not giving people tough fights. And so that's what he brought to Vasily Lomachenko, but you've not seen Vasily Lomachenko in there against anybody else remotely like that. You've not seen that with Jorge Linares. Let me go backwards. Who was the last guy he fought? Was it Jose Pedraza? Well, anyway, Jose Pedraza wasn't like that. Million dollar Krala wasn't like that. Jason Sosa doesn't fight like that. Nicholas Walters doesn't fight like that. Guillermo Rigondeaux doesn't fight like that. Miguel Mariaga doesn't fight like that. Gary Russell Jr. doesn't fight like that. None of the other guys that kind of I want to say completely no-name guys, but those other guys he fought between Gary Russell Jr. when he won it at 126, and then when he made that his run at 130, none of those guys fight that way. All of the guys that are fighting are pretty much calculating fighters that give Vasily Lomachenko time to think and time to do the things that he wants to do. And they're not trying to impose their physical will upon Vasily Lomachenko. Pressure bust pipes. And that is what Orlando Salido, and that style of fighter brings to the table. Now, I agree with Ryan Garcia in that regard. Now, when Ryan Garcia says that he thinks he's the guy that can do that, I don't see it. I don't see that. And I don't think we'll ever see that out of Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia is never going to give Vasily Lomachenko a fight. But I don't see that styling in Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia seems to me to be a guy that he's an aggressive fighter. He does go in there to hurt you, but I've not seen him, banging to the body, weaving in and out, getting on the inside, letting off body shots, countering people with big shots, right? Taking some shots at putting himself in I've never seen any of that type of stuff out of Ryan Garcia. I've also never seen it out of Teofimo Lopez. The reason that I think that Teofimo Lopez has a very good chance to beat Vasily Lomachenko is because, I don't believe that there's just one style that can beat a fighter. Orlando Salido beat Vasily Lomachenko, but that doesn't mean that that's the only style or the only type of fighter that can beat Vasily Lomachenko. There could be somebody like a Teofimo Lopez who is a very big, strong, tremendous one-punch guy that can catch and hurt Vasily Lomachenko with a shot to the body or a shot up top, who can make Vasily Lomachenko very wary of coming to the inside because of what's waiting for him. Right now, I won't get into a lot of how Vasily Lomachenko fights, but Vasily Lomachenko is not a guy that is going to circle around you. He doesn't fight like Devin Haney. He stays in relatively close quarters with you, slipping, counter punching you, very, very accurate. And when he sits down on his punch, has got good power when he sits down on his punches. He changes angles, but he's there for you. He's there, but he's very difficult to hit because of how quick his feet are, how good his anticipation is, how he sees what you're doing and is got tremendous muscle memory for what to do in response to you. But that doesn't necessarily mean that. So therefore, a guy like Teofimo Lopez, who's right there with you, who's got fast hands, who's younger, and who has watched and seen Vasily Lomachenko's tendencies, he does have a chance to win that fight. And I think he's got a good chance to win the fight. Now, the thing that I wanted to talk about with this, though, in this whole conversation about Vasily Lomachenko, please note, this is what I ask you guys, because I know the people that will watch, to this point in the video, you guys are the real subscribers. We chop it up all the time. Man, look at the treatment that was given to Deontay Wilder when Deontay Wilder lost. versus what the treatment of given to Vasily Lomachenko when Vasily Lomachenko lost. Right? When you call cheater on Tyson Fury and point out all the rabbit punches, how the neck wrenching, the possibility, I believe the actuality, but the potential, the possibility that he had his knuckles in the low part of his gloves are extended. Ain't nobody trying to hear cheating. You're just a sore loser. But man, the same folk still give Vasily Lomachenko excuses for Orlando Salido. Oh, he wasn't, that was only his second fight. And even though the dude was 25 years old and he had actually had 6 fights, but he's the great Vasily Lomachenko. What do you mean? He's great. He should have beat. Why can't he beat Orlando Salido straight out the gate? This is the greatest fighter since Muhammad Ali, right? Anyway, he lost because that dude was putting that heat on him and all kind of excuses. How many low blows? Do you see all those low blows? Did you see how he did all that? That fight doesn't count. I don't care. That guy cheated. Yeah, but Deontay Wilder, no excuses allowed. And the fact that the guy cheated is absolutely irrelevant. So anyway, I just thought that was a fun observation. You let me know what you think about whether or not Vasily Lomachenko has been ducking that aggressive style fighter. I'll call it Mexican style, so I can be like Gennady Golovkin and Abel Sanchez. But anyway, it is what it is. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.